Now, Honourable Speaker, the Premier and the proponent are determined to build here. The forces of no are simply asking for the location to be moved off this site to one of the many alternative sites nearby. At what was called the Salmon Nation Summit held in Prince Rupert, the Lilu Island Declaration was signed by hereditary leaders from the Skeena watershed to the Tsimshian territory on the coast. All of these Indigenous peoples, known as the title and rights holder in this region, recognized and reaffirmed the need to safeguard Lilu Island and the Skeena estuary. Flora and Agnew banks are essential to juvenile salmon. First Nations and non-First Nations communities throughout the watershed and across the coast depend on this salmon. After learning more about the science and the risks to the estuary, this declaration was signed by hereditary chiefs of Lac Ouallams and supported by the likes of Grand Chief Stuart Phillip. This was not a so-called ragtag group of people. These are our informed Indigenous peoples and Northerners who know the science and know the facts, and they understand the risks of industrial development to this region of our province. This was a powerful statement of people coming together to defend the Northern way of life. To try to discredit these leaders by calling them ragtag is untrue and simply and totally disrespectful. The path to reconciliation and advancement of LNG projects, or any projects, does not start by labeling a group of hereditary chiefs, of matriarchs, leaders, and citizens with legitimate concerns as ragtag. You advance projects by bringing people together and finding compromises, such as the Great Bear Rainforest Agreement the Premier speaks so highly of in the throne speech. We all want responsible resource development and shared benefits. The Premier, however, prefers name-calling. It's reminiscent of a Harper-era strategy of divide and conquer, us and them. Remember foreign-funded radicals? I've come to learn that this way of dialogue in these chambers seems to be the way we go. But to speak this way to the citizens we represent, the Premier not only insults the very citizens she represents, but insults our neighboring province, saying Alberta has lost its way. Lastly, I must conclude by going back to the blatant contempt displayed by the Premier for the very people she purports to represent. It is repressive and deplorable for a Premier who so desperately wants an LNG industry in BC. It is a major step backward in building the necessary relationships for development of this industry or any industry. I sincerely urge the Premier of this province to apologize to the chiefs, to the matriarchs, to the leaders and the people of the Northwest and the Skeena watershed for her callous and shallow remarks. These people are not ragtag or the forces of no. They are legitimate people with legitimate concerns deserving of respect. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Member.